Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is very specific. We want to move past all the glossy, romanticized ideas about success and instead really break down the core mechanics of self-control. We're going to be treating discipline not as some, mysterious quality you're born with,
Right.
but as a tool, a cognitive tool that you can actually define and train.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you struggled with being inconsistent, with procrastination, or just that feeling that you can't get a grip on your own intentions, you need to understand this.
Yeah.
That struggle is almost never a moral failing. It's a structural one. We're going to lay out the protocols that govern action and give you a blueprint that relies on logic, on repetition, not on fragile emotion.
Exactly. And that's the critical point. Discipline is not some character trait gifted at birth. It's a competency you develop.
The competency.
The definition we're using here is key. Discipline is the trained ability to do what needs to be done and resist what shouldn't be done. That's what allows you to actually achieve long-term goals. It's that steady inner strength to keep working on something difficult, especially when you really don't feel like it.
Okay, so let's tackle the biggest point of failure right away, the one that trips everyone up. And that's the confusion between motivation and discipline. We always hear about motivation being a spark.
And that's exactly its limitation, a spark. Motivation is an emotional surge. It gives you that initial energy, it helps you start, but it's inherently volatile.
It's unreliable.
Totally. It's fueled by newness, by excitement, or, some external thing. But as soon as the task gets boring or an obstacle pops up, that emotional high is gone, and the spark just flickers out.
So if you're relying on that feeling to get things done consistently, you're just building on a faulty system. But I have to ask then, does motivation have any role at all? Is it ever useful in a disciplined life?
It does, but its role has to be understood. It's a servant, not the master. Motivation is like the initial data point. It tells you that a goal might be something you want.
Just a signal.
Just a signal. The huge mistake is waiting for that feeling to come back before you act again. Discipline, on the other hand, is the steady flame. It's the engine of continuous action. It means you show up, you do the work, regardless of whether you feel like it or not.
The distinction then is purely operational. Discipline is just action that lines up with your deeper values. It's making choices that match where you want to go, even when, every impulse is pulling you off course.
And that entire mechanism really rests on one single pillar, delayed gratification. Discipline demands that you give up immediate pleasure, the comfort, the distraction, for a bigger long-term reward.
So you have to expend effort.
You have to systematically expend effort to do things you are not currently motivated to do. That's the whole game.
And it's interesting, if you even look at the word itself, discipline, it comes from the Latin for to teach. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about teaching yourself, training your present self to make better choices for your future self.
To really get from that definition to a strategy, we have to understand the competition that's happening inside your brain. We need to look at the psychological model that explains why we're so inconsistent. It's called the dual systems model.
Okay.
And this model, it just clarifies that constant fight between our automatic urges and our intentional control.
So two systems.
Two systems. On one side, you have system one. You can think of it as the automatic or the hot system. It's incredibly fast, non-conscious, and it's driven by, things in your environment, your gut feelings, and your ingrained habits.
So that's the system that makes you instantly check your phone when it buzzes.
Exactly. It's seeking the path of least resistance. Primitive urges, learned routines. It requires no thought.
And what's on the other side?
Countering that is system two, the deliberate or cold system. This is your conscious control. It's much slower, it's very limited in its capacity, and it's driven by your actual goals, your intentions, the rules you're trying to follow.
So system two is the part that has to step in and override system one. It's what chooses the spreadsheet over the distracting website.
Yes, and here's the core vulnerability. System two is fundamentally resource limited. It gets tired.
Okay, so it has a limited tank of gas.
A very limited tank. So your goals are constantly at risk of being crowded out. Let's say you sit down to work on a hard project. That goal requires continuous focus from your working memory. But if an attention-grabbing alert or even just a thought pops into your head, it physically crowds out that goal. It hijacks your focus.
And it's not just that it's limited, it also gets fatigued, right? This idea of ego depletion.
That's right. Constant self-control wears it down. And the research is very clear on this. When your system 2 resources are low, and especially if you're in a bad mood, the chances of a relapse of just defaulting back to the easy system 1 response, they go way up.
It's a predictable failure.
A very predictable failure. And this brings us to a crucial concept called the expected value of control, or EVC.
EEC, okay.
It's basically your brain's constant, non-conscious cost-benefit analysis. Is it worth the mental energy to use System 2 right now? And the strength of that control is decided by three main factors.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first is reward, the perceived gain from succeeding or the perceived loss from failing.
So in practical terms, if the reward is way off in the future, like better health, the EVC is low. It's weak.
Very weak.
But if you have an immediate reward, like fitting into an outfit for an event next week, suddenly the EVC saying no to that piece of cake is much higher.
Precisely. The second factor is expectancy. This is your perceived likelihood of actually succeeding. If you've tried and failed to quit smoking 20 times, your expectancy is, well, it's going to be low.
And if your brain thinks you're going to fail anyway, why would it spend the energy?
It won't. The EVC plummets. Your brain basically says, why apply effort when failure is the most likely outcome? And defaults back to the System 1 comfort zone.
And the third factor.
The third is delay. The longer the time until you get the reward, the lower its perceived value is right now. This is the classic delayed gratification problem. A reward in 6 months just can't compete with the immediate dopamine hit of watching a video right now.
Okay, this is critical. Discipline is not just a mental game, it's a physical training process. Every single time you choose the harder path, you're strengthening a part of your brain. The anterior midcingulate cortex, or AMCC.
Right. You are literally making the willpower part of your brain bigger and stronger with repetition. The AMCC is what calculates whether the effort is worth it. By constantly choosing the harder thing, you are actually teaching your brain that the perceived cost of that effort is lower than it thinks.
That feedback loop explains why consistency is everything. It's non-negotiable.
Absolutely. So knowing that System 2 is limited, a disciplined person doesn't rely on it for everything. They outsource. They automate. And that is the power of habits.
Habits become System 1 programming.
Exactly. They conserve that precious willpower energy. And the data on this is, it's pretty striking. Something like 40% of our daily actions are driven by these programmed habits.
40%. So by building good habits, you're freeing up all that mental energy for bigger problems.
You're creating an efficiency protocol for your brain. And to build a habit, you just need to understand the simple loop. There's a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. And you have to know, it takes time. The research suggests about 66 days, so roughly 2 months, for a new behavior to start feeling automatic.
So given all this, the limits of our brain's control system, what are the actual architectural bypasses we can build, the concrete systems?
Yes.
The first, and maybe the most powerful, is what's called an implementation intention.
A game changer.
It's about using a rigid if-then structure. For example, if it is 7:00 a.m., then I will put on my workout clothes.
And that's so effective because it pre-commits your behavior. When the if happens, the time, the place, the then becomes automatic. You bypass that whole internal debate. You don't have to use your limited System 2 energy to make a decision. The decision is already made.
The action is pre-programmed.
Right. Second, you have to prioritize situation management. Since we know willpower gets tired, the goal is to use it less.
So you avoid the fight altogether.
You avoid the fight. This means situation selection. Don't walk past the donut shop if you're avoiding sugar, and situation modification, which means you reduce the temptation in your current environment.
And that's so powerful. If you're distracted by your phone, situation modification means you put the phone in another room.
Yeah.
You install a website blocker. You make the good choice, the easy choice, the default path.
Yes. You conserve your willpower for the actual work, not for fighting 1,000 tiny temptations.
Okay, what's third?
Third, and this is non-negotiable, you have to master the foundation. Self-discipline is built on physical stability, sleep, nutrition, exercise.
It's all connected.
Completely. System 2 runs on the prefrontal cortex, and that part of the brain is incredibly sensitive. Just one night of bad sleep sabotages your self-control. It literally weakens the connection between your rational brain and your emotional brain.
So if you're sleep deprived, you're stacking the deck against yourself from the start. Your entire system is unstable.
It's trying to build a skyscraper on sand. And finally, number 4, you must focus on immediate movement. Inertia is the biggest enemy, so don't wait to feel motivated. Just focus on the physical act of starting.
Move.
Just move. Use something like the 5-minute rule. Commit to doing the hard thing for just 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do 5 minutes. This works because starting is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, momentum starts to work for you, not against you.
It's that initial activation energy.
It is. It's like what Admiral William McRaven talked about, making your bed every morning. It's a small, completed task. That small win gives you a little psychological boost, and it encourages you to tackle the next thing. These small, consistent actions build on each other.
So, when we put all these pieces together, what's the final takeaway?
The takeaway is that discipline is the primary determinant of your destiny. It's not passion. It's not talent. It is the trait of persistent, sustained execution, and it is fueled entirely by taking small, consistent daily actions.
When you have to internalize that mandate.
You do. Discipline is just your ability to control your own behavior to reach a goal, no matter what your emotional state is in the moment.
So your real struggle isn't against a lack of talent, it's against addiction to short-term comfort.
Yes.
This goes about consistency. Internal consistency, where your values drive your choices, not your feelings. And external consistency, where you stick to your plan. Success isn't luck, it's just the product of systematic self-control.
Which leaves you with one final, crucial question to think about. We know from research like the marshmallow test that the ability to delay gratification is heavily influenced by your environment and by what you've learned. So, what is the single highest leverage system, an if-then plan or a change to your environment, that you can install right now to signal to your brain that your world is stable, trustworthy, and built for long-term success?
Thank you for engaging in this deep dive into the uncompromising mechanism of consistent self-control. We hope this gives you the blueprint you need.
Internalize these principles. Start building your system of discipline today. The life you want is on the other side of the discomfort you are willing to embrace.
If this deep dive helped clarify the difference between fleeting motivation and the real power of a disciplined system, please take a moment to like the episode and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the mechanics of effective action.